Welcome to Word Project 1 Part 2 of 2. Gonna finish up that Word flyer. It'll be a fancy schmancy document. We've got the information in our document. Now we are formatting it. Separating the information that we put in there at the start from the style. We're gonna be formatting top to bottom after all that information is in there, making it look like a nice flyer with numbered. This is going to become a numbered list. We're going to put an image here in the middle for a little bit of eye candy. And this is going to be a bulleted list. This is going to become a signature line. We'll be applying a border as well to our document. So let's get started. Here's where we ended up last time. We selected this text. Remember, I can select in the margin to select that entire paragraph. We shaded that paragraph after also applying Rockwell Extra Bold to the font, making it 36 point, and applying a text style of a white outline. We're going to eventually change our colors because remember in the original we'll show this is going to be a green background. But I want to show you before we go on the other things we can do with a paragraph style like this that I think is better to know and a good technique that's not covered in the book, so pay attention. This is a colored paragraph, shaded paragraph, but I'm stuck with that paragraph being that shade. Can't do much else with that. But watch what I can do instead. And this is something that the more professional word processing software does. Can be done here in Word. I'm going to just take a little bit of a variation. Instead of a shaded paragraph, I can come to Insert, and I'm going to insert a text box. Insert tab, text box. I'm going to put that as a text box. Oh, I have to move that screen down here. I'm going to insert a text box by drawing it. Oop, I messed up. I click somewhere else here. I'll do that again. I'm going to insert text box, and I'm going to draw the text box. Okay, so that becomes a crosshatch. I'm going to grab my screen so it's centered. I'm going to draw a crosshatch of a rectangle of that same size. I'm going to draw it right below that one just so I get the size the same. About the same size rectangle. Now that is a text box that I can do a lot more things with. Let's first put our text in there. You know what? Since I want that same text, I'm going to select that text, drag through that paragraph, and Control-C copy, and come to that text box, and let's do a Control-V paste. Oh, it doesn't like that. Let's try that again. Let's select that text. Maybe he's selected too much. Let's try this again. Let's click here this time. Oh, let's try this, just this text. For some reason, it's not happy. Let's copy, Control-C. Now let's try paste. While I'm inside that text box, paste. Oh, it doesn't like pasting. All right, I guess I'll type it out. Something's wrong with copy paste. All right, wash your hands. Exclamation point. Control-A, while I'm in the text box, just selects the text inside of my text box. Going to center my text within that text box. Going to set the font to be 36 point. Rockwell Bold. I'm select my font here, grab the slider. I'm kind of in a funny format here. Rockwell Bold, come down to the R's. Rockwell Extra Bold. Set the style to be that white outline. Now, there I have something very similar to what I had before. Oh, let's also select all that inside the text box again and make that uppercase. Now, I have very similar looking font. But now let's, instead of shading the paragraph, let's shade the text box. So So I'm going to come back and select the border of the text box. See how there I have the insertion point in my text box. Here, clicking the edge of it, now I'm selecting the text box itself. The sizing handles show up there. And I'm going to fill the text box. So the Format tab, the text box is treated as a shape. So text box is selected. I'm not going to fill the paragraph. I'm going to fill the shape with that second from the bottom brown, third from the right column. And what I'm doing here in that selecting of that color, think of this as the current color table in the theme that I've chosen. The third color from the right, second darkness from the bottom. This will be important when we decide to change our theme color, which we're going to do before we're done here. Now, what's so great about this? Watch what I can do with text boxes. Rather than be stuck with a paragraph that can only be horizontal and can only be in that particular location, in a text box, I can rotate them. I can fill it with a different color. I can adjust the shape of that. Or I can also make it the same shape as that paragraph. So these kind of headers, text boxes, are a little more flexible, and I can even mess with the wrapping of text. Watch if I change the text wrapping around that text box. Instead of in front of text, I can make the text wrap around that text box, and let's just choose square. Now this text box, as I rotate, pushes other things out of the way so it doesn't get covered up. Because of the wrapping is saying, get out of my way, I don't want anything near me. That's the wrapping of text. But I can make it completely independent of that text as well by setting the wrapping to be in front of text or behind text. I'm going to set this one to be in front of text. And now it's independent of everything else on the page. I can put that wherever I want. It doesn't push anything aside. And I can even put it above the paragraph that I just had. And it looks just like the paragraph. I'm going to put it just a little bit offset just to show that there's something else there and even make it look a little interesting. So I wanted you to know text boxes are the cooler way to do shaded paragraphs. Lets you have a little more independent control of that. So that's just a little extra there for you. If I want it to be perfectly horizontal, it'll snap horizontal, or I can hold down the Shift key and it'll snap more quickly to the horizontal. So that's just a little quick extra. And that extra formatting mark, I can turn those off back on the Home tab to see exactly what it's going to look like. Okay. Now let's continue. That was just a little extra. I like this much better. I can always adjust my margins, and the graphic at the top can get a little fancier. And later on, you can even do fancier things like actually having a shape and have text inside of a shape. But we'll just learn that for now. Text boxes, very handy. And if I don't like that black outline around it, I just noticed that I'm going to change the outline of that text box shape to be no outline. Now looks like a shaded paragraph, but it's an independent text box. All right, that next line, what are we going to do next? We are going to, after shading that paragraph, now the next paragraph below, I want to select that entire paragraph. And if I'm going to do any shading, if it's just a paragraph I want to apply, I can just have my cursor or insertion point anywhere inside that line. But if I want to adjust the font, I need to select all the text. So let's see what we're going to do to this. We're going to change the font color. Well, that means I need to have it selected. So I'm going to do the drag through the left margin across the two lines. The pop-up menu comes up. I can use that, and I'm going to use that to change that to red accent 5 darker 25%. So this pops up. I could always go up to there, and now that I've left it, I have to go up to there. And I chose the second from the end. That's a red. It sure doesn't look like red on my screen. Second from the bottom, red, 25% darker. I can't see the difference until I select off of that, then I notice the font color is slightly different. But let's go back and select that, because I think we're going to do a little bit more to that. The font size of that is going to be set to 22 point. Again, I can come up here and type in 22 or select the 22 from the available list. Remember, I'm not limited to what's those numbers. I can type any number and it will fit it. Okay, I can show paragraph marks like they do in the book just to verify that's where the paragraph is. And notice it's showing these little squares there. That's a little irritating. I'm going to turn off paragraph marks. If you want to see exactly what it looks like, I turn them off. Okay, so now we have the paragraph marks. I can zoom however I like. I'm leaving it at full page width so you can see everything. Now at this point, I'm ready to continue modifying the text. I can also always zoom out to see what my page is going to look like. It's starting to look a little better. The top part, if I click off of that, that's what it's going to look like if I print it out on a color printer. Okay, so on to the numbered list. I want to, before I make numbered lists, I want all this text down here to be the same size. I'm going to make it a numbered list, but I don't want to be messing with font size all over the place. Let's just set the font size for all those paragraphs the same right now. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so I can see all those lines. And now drag down through the left margin. All that text is now selected. And we're going to select, oh, I'm not going to select that last line. I went too far. Only those two lists. We're going to treat this guy separately later on. And the size of that font we're going to set to be 20 point. All right. This time I'm going to use the Control-Shift greater than to adjust my size until it hits 20 point. The reason I love the Control-Shift greater than is because I can see the effect, and when I get too big, I'll see what happens as I get too big. I get immediate feedback from my settings. So 22, this line starts wrapping a little too much. Control-Shift less than, and there, fits it a little better. And as I do bulleted points and numbered lists, they won't start wrapping on me. Okay, I'm going to come back and adjust that last line later on. So I adjusted the font size all together with that. Now I'm going to make that top list from here down to here. This is going to become a numbered list, not that extra line, just to there. Drag through the left margin. To make that a numbered list, watch how easy this is. Just come up here, click numbering. Using the default numbering scheme, will look like that. If I wanted a different type of numbering scheme, there's lots of other numbering schemes available to me. Even letter, Roman numerals, those are all available. We're going to go with the numbered format. And let's just verify that in the book that that is the format we want. Yes, that is the format we want. Now we have a numbered list. See how easy that was? Select the lines, turn on a numbered list. Now we're going to make that last list a bulleted list. Come over here. Again, select through the left margin, all the way down to there. Bulleted list. The pop-up menu comes up there. I can use that one as well. Click, and I've got my bulleted list. There is even the little extra dialog that pops up right next to that teeny weeny little arrow. Means I can choose what bullet I want to use. But I think for now we are leaving that bullet alone. Let me check to make sure we're not changing that bullet. Okay, so now I have a bulleted list, and I can click again to see what it's going to look like. I can zoom out to see what my poster is looking like. Oh, looking a little better. And now that very last line has some ugly formatting. Let me zoom in on that last line. we're going to modify that last line. I'm zooming way in. You don't have to zoom that far. And that last line, first thing we're going to do, let's see, are we changing the font size first? We're going to remove that hyperlink first, and then we'll do some more to this line. I can right-click on this and remove hyperlink. Because this is not going to be an electronic document, I don't need hyperlinks. That means that underlining is gone, and also means I can't click on it anymore to take me automatically to that website. Okay, I can Control-Z undo that if I really did want it in there. We're going to decorate in a different way. Now this paragraph, I am in this paragraph. Notice I don't have to select anything. If I want to center that paragraph, there is a special keyboard shortcut. Do you remember the keyboard shortcut? I believe it's Control-E. Let's verify by coming up here, and I see, oh yes, Control-E. I click that, and that line is now centered. But of course, it's way too small of a font. If I want to adjust that font now, I need to select all the text to adjust the size of the font. And we're going to change that to 18 point. I'm going to do that with the select there and Control-Shift greater than. There is, and I see the size of the font showing up there. Control-Shift greater than. Anything bigger, and I believe, oh, that actually might be better. We're going to give it a little bit more room on the border. Not going to get too big. There is 18 point for that entire line. Okay, now I have the font enlarged. And I'm going to change the color of that font to the same color as up above. It remembers the last selection of font color. Just to make sure, I'm going to click and go to red accent darker 50%. But remember, it remembers the last color you selected. If I knew, I could just click that and it becomes that red. But I'm just making sure. Second from the right, second from the bottom. And now the font has that color. Now we're going to also change the font of that special last few words, additional hand washing tips. Okay, so I'm going to select through that, not the period, punctuation mark, just the last three words by clicking and dragging while I hold the mouse down. And we're going to make that text to be decorated in a certain fashion. Make sure I get this right. We're going to underline that. So it's going to look like a hyperlink, but this time we're just going to underline. And that's done up here under the underline. And there is a Control-U for underlining. I don't memorize many of those shortcut keys because I don't use them that often. I do use bold a lot, so Control-B I have memorized. Control-I for italics. I don't often underline, but Control-U is fairly easy to remember because underline starts with U. I click that, and now I have that underlined for me. Oh, isn't this so pretty? We're also going to italicize some text by going back to the top now. And we're going to italicize the word prevent. Remember how to select a word? Double click, and that selects the word. Triple click selects the paragraph. Double click selects the word. Control-I to make it italic. No, that's taking a different control. When I'm on a Mac right now, it's not taking the same control. So Control-I makes that word italic. Now, are we going to make that a different color? I don't remember if they're going to make that a special color. We're going to choose other text to be bold, but instead of choosing words one at a time and click choose the word, make it bold, choose the word, make it bold, we're going to double click on a word and then shift double click on another word. Oh, don't want to do that. Let's try to click a word. Oh, control. Let's try control. Yes, control key did work at that time on from my Mac. Control double click allows me to select text that's not connected. If I had this selected and then shift click, it selects everything from there all the way to where I was. But selecting wet and then control double click on another word, see how I'm having them both selected? Let's see if there's any more we want to select before we turn them bold. Yes, the first word of each of those lines. This trick isn't always that handy, but I'm just showing you double click, control double click, control double click. Now I can turn them bold. So that's a nice thing to remember if there's multiple words and I don't want to have click, select the word, bold, select the word, bold, select the word, bold. There's only 5. It's really not that great of a time saver, but knowing that technique can be helpful. Do the same thing down. Are we doing the same thing down in the next paragraph, the bulleted list? Made them all bold. Okay. And in the book, there's another list of shortcut keys that are covered in the quiz for this chapter. We're not going to go over them in the lecture. You'll learn them along the way. Remember, shortcut keys, you can always hover over things to find out these shortcut keys, but that control thing, control selecting something else. See how that lets you select multiple things that are not adjacent. You can always drag through stuff, but that's all connected. Control is a little special. Okay, so now we're saving this. Since we've done a lot of work, I'll do a save or Control S. If I want to save it with a different file name, they do that in the book. I'm not asking for another file name, but if you want to save this as like version 2, you can always do a file save as, and that will let you choose a different name. See, I can call it hands-2. You don't need to save it with a different name, but if you were keeping track of versions, that's a helpful thing to do. So that's Control save or file save as. Now we're going to finish up some formatting here. We've saved it. And now we're going to insert a picture in that blank line that's been hanging out there wondering what needs to go here. Let's zoom out a little bit to see what it looks like before we add the picture. See, it's kind of a decent looking poster, but it needs a little bit of extra illustration right there in the middle. And I think a nice centered picture there having something to do with hand washing. Let's see what we can find. I'm going to zoom to page width. And now let's figure out how do we get a picture in here. Now there's multiple ways to do this. You could open a file and insert a picture that you have hanging around. Or you could go online and find a picture. First of all, I want this picture centered, and might as well just center the paragraph, so then when I insert the picture, it will be centered. So under the Home tab, I'm going to center this paragraph, and now the picture that gets inserted here will be centered. Let's just see what happens if I, rather than browse for a picture that somebody gave me, what if I just find a picture related to hand washing? Let's see here. Let's do Insert, Online Picture. And we'll let Bing do the search for us. Let's search for hand washing. Now here is where checking Creative Commons is a way to make sure any pictures that you are bringing in are public domain. In this class, we don't really worry about that, but it's good to remember that if I ever would publish my fine picture, I want to be sure to get permission if it's not something in the Creative Commons. Let's see if we have a picture like the one shown in the book. You know, at this point, I'm going to let you choose your hand washing picture because there's some cool ones there. Some are, this one's very much like the one that's in the book. I'll let you choose which of these hand washing pictures to use. There's another one similar to the book. That looks like the same picture. That's a cool one. Like if you like the cartoony one. Ooh, that's even closer to the one in the book. I think I might use that one. Or the little kids. Oh, that's so cute. The little kids' hands. I like that. Gonna click on that, and I think a double click will insert or I can click once and then click Insert. Now it may make it rather, I thought it might make it rather large or rather small. We want this picture to be a specific size. Let me enlarge it by grabbing the corner and stretching it. Notice the size shows up over here as well. I want to see how this is going to fit on my whole poster. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit to see. Let's see, if I make it a little larger, I kind of see. If I make it too large, it'll start pushing that text off to the next page. That's too large. I'm going to back it off to about there. I am also going to zoom back in here and get rid of that extra little label by cropping this picture. I'm going to click Crop, and I now have cropping handles show up. And I'm going to just grab that bottom middle cropping handle, and now I don't see that extra part there in the picture. Once I click off of it, now the cropping takes effect. Ah, it's such a cute little picture. Little child getting his hands washed by the parent or by the big brother. So cute. We want to do some more to that picture though. Now if you've inserted a different picture, that's just fine. Give you a little creative opportunity there. The one in the book is huge, and they resize it to be smaller. So we have that picture in there. We reduce the size or increase the size to give it a specific size. Let's see in the book if they actually type in the exact size, because you can, if you have the picture selected, you can actually give it an exact size. Let's see if they ever go to that. They make it 5 inches. 5 inches is too high. Do they actually type in the size? I don't think I see the exact size, but you could actually type in the exact size if you knew how big you wanted it. Now we have that picture. Oh, actually they do make it 2 inches high. So let's go ahead and make it 2 inches high. I'm just going to type in 2 there, and it will automatically fit the other size to be proportional. And let's see if that fits. Well, the main thing is it doesn't push that last line off to the next page. So if you make it exactly 2 inches high, select the picture, then the format shows up. Now this is something that's confusing. If you don't have the picture selected, you do not have the formatting tab. Easy to be confused by that until you click the picture, then the formatting tab shows up. And if you're on the Home tab and you have the picture selected, the Format tab is there, but you don't see the formatting options until you click the Format tab. Now, in the picture style, now that that picture is selected, we can choose a picture style. In the book, they choose a particular picture style of the little guy with the corners cut off. This one right here. Snip diagonal corner. And in this one here, I'm also giving you the chance. You get to pick your image style. I'm going to go with the one in the book. There's a cool 3D version. I'm going to go with the one in the book. Adds a little styling to you. Pretty cool, huh? Picture styles adds even a little better effect. And let's make sure I haven't pushed that last line off the page. That's the critical thing. Because the styling can sometimes change the actual effective size of that picture. But yet there's more. You thought that was cool. You can also add additional effects on top of the style you just chose. Now you got to be careful about this, because anything you add will get removed if you say, oh, I liked what I did for extra effects. Oh, but I want a different style now. Anytime you choose here, it wipes out any additional effects you might have added to that style selected. So we have chosen that one. We're not going to change it. Now we're going to go to additional effects, and we're going to add a little shadow to it. So the selected, picture effects, shadow, and the shadow that they show in the book is perspective upper left, diagonal bottom right, perspective offset diagonal left, oh, there it is. Perspective. There we go. Perspective, diagonal upper left. I was looking in the wrong section. That adds a little bit of extra shadow to it. And now we've got the text, the little bit of eye candy with some style added. We're going to add just a few more and we're almost done here. As we think about hygiene, brown dirt colors are probably not the best colors when we're talking about hygiene. Think about, when you think of hygiene, what colors would probably fit hygiene better? Well, since when we selected colors they were in our theme colors, that means I can go to Design and choose different theme colors in the Design tab, Colors, Theme Color Selection. And as I browse through here, which of these makes you think hygiene? Now, it doesn't give you a preview as you hover over them. You have to select them to then see the effect. That sort of clean. In the book, they choose blue 2. They think that looks cleaner. Well, what other makes you think clean? Probably the bluish, greenish. This gray, it's more conservative, not as exciting. These other theme colors may pop out at you, but we want to get people to think clean. So the blue 2 thinks clean water. Even this picture, I could make more clean colors in there, but let's go with that. Blue 2 for my color theme. And remember, why the theme works is because back when I chose the format of that, remember the color that was chosen was colors from the theme chart. If I had chosen a standard color, changing my theme wouldn't do anything, because standard colors stay standard colors. So remember that when you choose colors and you choose a theme color, that means that lets you, if you ever want to in the future, adjusting your theme will also adjust that color. Okay, so choosing blue 2, adjust my theme color applied to the entire document. Now it's time to add a border. This is something that most people don't know how to do, but it's right here in my, I believe, where did it go? It's in the layout, I believe. Or is it in, did I miss something? Let's see, layout, or is it in design? There it is. Page borders. I was thinking layout. Page borders, way over there under design. Page borders. Now I get a chance to apply a border. And there are many types of borders you can apply. Just take a look at that dialog. I want you to be an expert at this page border dialog in borders and shading. Notice here I'm in page border, but notice here I'm inside of a dialog that lets me do borders and shading of other things, and I can decide what to apply to. I can apply just to the particular title page. Very often the cover page is what you apply fancy things to. In this case, we're applying our border to the whole document, which is default. I'm going to choose a specific style of border as I scroll down to the particular style. It looks like, let's see, go further down. It's that guy right there. I don't know if it even has a name. I'm going to apply the box style. And I can also choose the color of that particular border by choosing, instead of automatic, choosing again a color from my theme selection. The 4th from the right, 2nd from the bottom. And if I wanted even something fancier, I could even pick some fancy art. That's something that may come up on the midterm. Remember the border, all these options available to you. I'm going to choose none for now, but that option is there in the page border. Remember how we got here. Design, page border. Design tab, page border. Go through it, gives you a little preview of it, and click OK after verifying. And now look at that. I've got a nice border applied to my lovely poster. And now let's see here. Is my picture, it looks like it's fitting nicely, but suppose I want a little, this how word a little closer to that paragraph. I can select that paragraph and adjust the spacing after that line. So underneath layout, it's actually, I'm in layout spacing. I can change the spacing after the paragraph section that I'm in. I can reduce that spacing down to 0. Watch what happens with those lines right there as I do that. I'll zoom in here for you so you can see the effects here. As I adjust my spacing after, see how that line is moving up. So that how is a little more strongly connected to that numbered list. Let's do the same thing down below. In the when, let's reduce the spacing after that one as well. Have that bulleted list closer to the word when. Just a mild style change there, but now you know how to do that. And now that last line, I want that to be separated a little bit from the previous line, a little bit more offset. So I can choose that paragraph and increase the spacing before that one and have that one drop down a little bit away from the previous line. So the layout of that paragraph, I can adjust the spacing. I can also go into the whole paragraph settings and do that same adjustment in there. In that case, it's in points. In this case, yeah, it's in points there. So 18, I think that's what they wanted. Oh, they made theirs 12. So let's go back and change that back to 12. Just not quite so much. All right. So I've adjusted the spacing there. You're learning a ton of adjusting possibilities. Now, we have completed our poster. One thing I'm going to do, because of the particular picture I chose, I'm going to zoom out a little bit and just see, does that picture fit in with the colors? We're going to learn this as well. I'm going to click on that picture. Let me go to Format, and let's see if I can do a little color adjustment on that picture to apply a little bluishness to that washing hands. I don't want to make his hands too blue. Let's see if I can apply any color to that. Make it slightly bluer, temperature bluishness. That fits a little better in the theme. His hands haven't turned completely blue, but the sink is a little bit bluish tint to it. Gives a little better fit with the colors that I have with everything else. If you have a different picture, you can do a little color adjustment too, just to get to know that. We're going to do some more of that later on, especially with PowerPoint. All right, so now I've completed, I think, most everything. I'm going to do a Control S. Before now, I look at the properties of this document. And I can see the properties of my document in Backstage View. So let's see what I can find out about my document there in Backstage View. I go to File, and underneath Show All Properties. Even before I go to Show All Properties, I can see how long I've been editing this. Oh, it seems like I've been longer than that on it. Oh, that's weird. I know I've been editing it longer than that. Oh, that's right. I did a save as 16 minutes ago. Here it shows the author. So your name should be appearing there. Another good reason to have your own login, that all your documents get created, have your information in there. And now under Show All Properties, I can see information. And let's see here. Underneath Info, I'm looking for, here, under the Properties button, there, under Advanced Properties, now I can add comments. Now in the book, they show properties popping up right here. Maybe the new version has it show up in a different location. But in Office 2016, I have to click Properties to see them. Advanced Properties. So in the comments, let's go ahead and put CS 101 assignment Word poster. And if you want to add other companies here, Emmaus Bible College, or you can make up the name of a company. And the title, washing poster. These are all comments that you can edit, and you can even save thumbnails. Let's see what else you can show. That shows statistics about your document, when it was created and modified, who modified it, how long this particular version has been edited, information about the contents. I can even edit that. And I can even enter some custom information. We'll just go to the summary and edit our comments. Once I click OK, that information now is saved with my document. And I can always go back out of Backstage View. And the document view has not changed at all. To save it with the same file name, again, I just do File Save or Control S. And now this version has been saved. If I ever forget to do a save, but I go to Close Word, it'll remind me you want to save this before you're done. And can you believe it? We are almost done. Or are we done? Let's just check. I can close it and open it later. I can always make revisions to it. Double clicking on the name of the document will open it in Word. I can always zoom. And let's see, are we going to insert additional text? Yes. We're going to add apply soap. Where is and apply soap and then apply soap. We're going to change this to and then apply soap. So I just click there, add the word then. We're going to learn later on that I can actually, underneath review, I can actually turn on tracking changes as I make changes. So if I ever want to track the changes as I make them, so I can see what changes there were, I can turn this on to show what the changes were, and then that'll also show a comment there. Especially good when I've taken somebody else's document and they want me to make comments or to fix things. I can turn on review track changes as I make my changes. And that won't show up in a final printout. If I turn off show the markup. So any changes, you can always turn that on, and I've inserted the word then into there. And we can always move the text around if we realize we want to fix some things. I can cut that word out of there. Wet hands with, we're going to put clean somewhere here. A clean towel. Now, I could just type the word clean, but if I select that word, I can Control-C copy, and I could drag it with the Control key held down, and I can place that word clean right in front of towel. Look at that. Of course, I could have done a Control-C, Control-V, but I can select something, Control drag it, see the little plus appears? That means it's going to make a copy of it. Or if I let go back where I started, it'll make two versions. So I can Control-Z that because I didn't want two versions of that word. Little tricks. Sometimes they're not that terribly useful. Control-C, Control-V is probably the best thing to remember. If I want a different order of these things, I can drag the order around. Let's see here. We're doing something. I think we did something with that bulleted list. We're going to change the before, during, and after preparing food. We're going to move that to be our first item in our bulleted list here. So let me zoom in on that. Before, during, and after preparing food, we want that to be the first item. Now I could Control-X, Control-V, Control-X deletes it, or I can select in the left margin, oh, I gotta go further left, select that line, and I can drag it, click drag that line up to there, and now it replaces or changes positions with that. But remember, I could have done Control-X, cut, put where I want, and Control-V. But clicking and dragging an entire line will adjust its position. The most times that I've run into this is if I accidentally dragging something and it moves my sentence. It usually is something I've done accidentally, not purposely. But remember, you can click and drag after selecting, and it will move the text to the new location. Now at this point, I think we're done. I can always view it in read mode or print layout mode or web layout mode. Read mode, page changes with the size. I can always go to print mode or web mode if I were going to save it to a web page. It wouldn't look as nicely formatted because web pages can't do nice borders around things unless they do really fancy stuff. So print layout, the best view, because I'm planning to make hard copies and put them on everybody's door in my floor. Let's see what they say. We're not going to worry about printing it, except for if you wanted to print this in a format anybody could read. I can do a Control P or File, Print, and I can, instead of printing it on a printer and using a paper, I can also print it to a PDF file. That's the way to save it as a PDF version and then do a print, and I've generated a PDF version of that file. It's a more universal formatting for a file. Remember, text, if I only want the information, I can save it as a text file, opening up in a very small editor like Notepad. But PDF, I can, that's a universal format for files that not only have text but also graphics. That's the next most common format between all computers. Every device should be able to display PDF files. There's not all devices can display Word documents. So printing to PDF, it'll pop up and say, oh, what PDF file you want to create? And just for fun, I'm going to go there to my little storage folder, put it in my CS101 folder, and I'll call it WD1. Notice this is a save as dialog. I'm not seeing the Word document. I know there's a Word document there, but I'm making a PDF, so I don't see anything except other PDF files. I'll call that WD1 printout and save. It doesn't change my file, doesn't save as, it's making a PDF version of this file. And with that, we are done with this project. We do one last check, make sure we haven't missed anything. If I ever need help with something, I can always bring up my help. Where is the help? They're showing help up above, and they tell me about, they're showing a help button right there. I'm not seeing help. Tell me what you want to do. I guess this is my help here in Office 2016. There we go. Save that file. That is what you will upload to Schoology. Do the last, actually I'm just going to do a close, and it'll ask me if I want to save the changes that I forgot to save. I'm going to say save, and then back in Schoology, I'm ready to upload this finished assignment. You have finished WD1 Part 2. If you need any help, you can always go to the, I'll put the link here to the video that you can view this if you need to go back and catch anything. All right, I will end the video. Hope you have a great day. We will see you Wednesday.